Hello, and welcome to Microbial Biochemistry. It is our second lecture that we'll be doing, and before we begin, let's recall our earlier journey into ancient Rome and their public sanitation methods, the tiny scale of microbiology, and that it's logarithmic, and that we need certain microscopes to see viruses, called electron microscopes, and we need light microscopes to see bacteria and oil immersion, which we'll get into next week, and the pioneering work of figures like Linnaeus, Pasteur, and Aristotle. Aristotle was proven wrong with the spontaneous generation method and theory, but he still was pretty much the founder of our microbial sense of the world for thousands of years. And then finally, remember the tale of Cora's fatal prion disease that underscores our understanding of microbial biochemistry, which is where we're getting here today. Since that is just a misfolded protein, it actually really ties into this week's lesson. Okay, so after the completion of this presentation and this series of videos, you should be able to list the different types of chemical bonding possible in any given molecule. And we'll go through carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. We'll identify functional groups in molecules that govern those behaviors. So we'll look at water chemistry and the bonds, and we'll look up acids and bases as well. All right, and then finally, we'll characterize these major organic molecules that we're talking about. So we'll see the bonds that make them up, and then we'll characterize them individually. All right. So let's proceed with our intro. Really quick, speaking of beginning of microbiology, let's travel back to 1953, where this guy, Miller, and Miller and Urey created the experiment of classic venture into the origins of life. They recreated early Earth's atmosphere using just electric spark with lightning, heat from the sun, water from the ocean, and all these other types of gases that would be in early Earth's atmosphere. And sure enough, after the completion of their experiment, they could see some synthesized early organic compounds, which form the building blocks of life. Okay. And as we complete this next section of the video, I'll go into the case study of Penny, a 16-year-old. She has a history of allergies, and she's presented with itchy skin, even before, and now she has switched sunscreens and is feeling more itchy. Okay, and they prescribe a hydrocortisone cream, and she puts it on, and it gets worse, and it's triggering her inflammatory response, and she gets these blisters that fill around the hair follicles, and it's primarily in the swimsuit covered areas. Okay, and so upon learning that she had a recent hot tub use after she goes back, the physician suspected a Pseudomonas aeruginosa infection, and testing confirmed the presence of this bacteria, and it would look pretty cool. Pseudomonas has these great colors, and it is resistant to many antibiotics, so that would be why the hydrocortisone cream didn't work, and a primary antibiotic wouldn't have worked anyway. So the rash, however, is limited to where the swimsuit was, and should resolve within 2 weeks. So Penny's case underscores the importance of understanding the biochemistry of microbiology, because basically the hydrocortisone cream just kind of like gave this bacteria nutrients. And so it didn't really help anything. And if it was just tiny itch inflammation, the hydrocortisone cream would work. But since it was bacterial and it's Pseudomonas, it just kind of exacerbated everything. Okay, and so that kind of answers our questions: is what kind of substances would you expect to find in this moisturizing cream? That's the hydrocortisone, and the hydrocortisone would help alleviate the itching and inflammation response by not allowing the histamines to grab a receptor, and we'll talk about all of this stuff later. Um, and then the cortisone cream just treats the symptoms, but if it was just from being wet or from eczema, it would have resolved it. So um, it's kind of like a trick question there, but that's kind of the questions that we're asking in the book as they went along with it. So um, enjoy, and I will pick this back up in a minute with the next step of lecture.